YourGuitarSage here. It's noon, and it's March the 16th. And today we're going to be talking about simplifying music theory. We've got an accompanying PDF with this, so would love you to get that. It will absolutely help with what it is that we're going to be talking about today, which is simplifying music theory. And specifically, we're going to be talking about harmony. Where does it come from? What is it? How to do it? It's dead simple. It is really, truly, truly simple. So if you've ever been mixed up about understanding the inner workings, the fabric of harmony, if you will, diatonic harmony, that harmony which is based upon the major scale, then friends, we got news for you. Okay, really quickly, oh, and Emmy, if you would, please put up our little tip jar there. Would so appreciate that. We just did a live broadcast just now for some other folks within our course as well, and so this is our weekly here, so welcome. A couple things to cover before we start. Number one, yes, we do have a tip jar. You can donate here on YouTube right there in the chat, usually right next to that little smiley face. There's usually like a number, a little dollar symbol. You can kick that. You can hit that, and then Mike just posted this, and boom, I'm gonna pin it. So there you go. There is our virtual tip jar, which does not give money to Google because they got enough of my damn money. But what it will do is it's actually a burrito fund, if I'm being honest. It's not a buy me a coffee, it's buy me a burrito. Buy Mike a burrito, because I'm fasting today. But he would like one. So
Mike a speeding ticket.
Buy Mike a speeding ticket. Mike got a ticket on the way in today. Oh, boo, right? Not cool, not cool. All right, so a couple little bits of business here before we start, okay? Before we start, 833-744-0154 if you would like to get into the Unstoppable Guitar System and you don't want to go to the website and do it, we can do it for you. At 833-744-0154, just type the word free, F-R-E-E. We'll set you up with the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. We've had over 500,000 people go through this. You'll hear me refer to it often during this broadcast because I specifically created this course for folks who have questions about guitar. Maybe they don't have the money to get into one of my courses. I provide this course for free for you, and it's like 33 lessons, and I promise you will absolutely change the way that you understand music and the guitar. Do that today, okay? Otherwise, if you're in the course and you just want to be in communication with us via text, then just type in UGS to that number, okay? Cool. All right, so that's that. Also, Dueling Ninjas, we have them back in stock. Folks are asking all the time about them, and we can't keep enough of these in stock. That's why you don't hear me talking about it all the time. It's because I mention it in a live broadcast or so every now and then, maybe throw up a little social video of playing, but I would like to have these produced faster, but it is what it is. You guys buy them out all the time, and we have a handful of these right now. So YourGuitarSage.com, check out the shop. People ask, what is this beautiful pedal? And it's this. If you like a tube screamer and if you like the full tone OCD, this tips the hat, if you will, to both of those pedals. So there's two sides to it, and you can cascade them together as well to where you can get that nice Brian May violin-y type of tone by cascading the two together. So it's essentially three pedals in one. It's, you know, tube screamer-esque, OCD-esque, and then what the two do together, all based on your functionality here. You've got level, gain, and tone for both sides, and you have modern classic for the tube side and high-low for the OCD side, and then cascading them together is what we call the Dueling Ninja mode, and it is bonkers. If you want to know more about that, I've got videos on Instagram and on YouTube. I believe you just search Dueling Ninjas, YourGuitarSage, you'll find that video I'm talking about. It's got playing clips and all the rest, and you can hear it for yourself. It's bonkers, it's flying off the shelf, and it's available now to you. Also, we've got some merch stuff in the merch store, hats and t-shirts and baby bibs. Yeah, onesies and baby bibs. It's true, we have them. All right, so let's talk about simplifying music theory today. This, friends, is going to be so absolutely easy for you. You guys are going to be like, are you joking? I waited all this time and was scared of music theory, and you just straight up showed me that, you know. So, Brian, you're asking what OCD circuit? I'm a big fan of the 3. That's my favorite OCD circuit, the Rico version, signed by Rico. That's what this has been modeled after. Okay, obviously we did our own things to it to make it our own pedal, but it is that energy, if you will. All right, okay, so let's talk about it. So, a couple definitions that we need to talk about first is, you know, music theory is the study of all things musical, you know, melody, rhythm, harmony, all that good stuff. It's the study of that. That's all it is. For those of you that like science, it's the science of music, if you will. It just tells basically why things do what they do. And when we take a band or we take a song from a band and we study that, we can get information from it that will allow us to take some of those same tools and bring them to another song and create that. And when you know how to do that, it truly liberates you. Anybody who's saying that you don't need music theory to understand music is either not a very good musician. I'm not done yet. Hold on. Either they're not a good musician or they don't understand what they don't understand. They don't understand that they're using music theory, but they think they're not. What they think doesn't matter. Facts don't care about your feelings. You've heard that before. They don't. They truly don't. So if you think that you're not using music theory, but you're using this A minor blues scale over this A minor chord progression, you know, we're talking music theory. If you're naming chords and you're naming notes and you're naming scales, you're using music theory. Okay? Bottom line. So, don't be fearful of music theory. Even the people that say they don't know music theory know music theory. They just don't know that they don't, okay? Now, okay, so that's what music theory is, right? It's the study of, right? And diatonic harmony, you know, harmony is basically where we are stacking notes, okay? So like a chord is harmony. And when we talk about harmony, generally, we're talking about things that sound good or things that get along well. This is harmony. It is. That's a diminished chord. Doesn't sound the best in the world, at least in that setting, just straight out, but it would sound right it would sound correct in the right setting. So harmony is basically when we're stacking notes on top of each other, right? You've heard... right, you've heard that? Right? So that's harmony. We're harmonizing thirds there. We're going to learn that as well. Now, so we got those definitions out of the way. Oh, shoot, I forgot to tell you something else. I will wait. I'm going to wait. I'm in the middle of this now. Mike, don't let me forget to tell them about all the new courses coming out. Yes. Okay? Don't let me forget about that because I did. Truly did. Okay. So, there are 12 notes in Western music. What I mean by Western, I'm talking about 99.999% of all of the music that you listen to, okay? Blues, rock, jazz, thrash, death metal, elevator music, I don't care what it is, advertisements, bands, singers, doesn't matter. It's, unless you're listening to, you know, some Aboriginal music, you know, it's based off of the 12-tone system, okay? And what we mean by 12 tones is there's 12 notes. Just like if we took the rainbow, we could break that down into 7 primary or 3 primary colors, but then there's these hues, right? There's the 7 different hues, Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, Roy G. Biv. So 7 notes, but even in between those, we have different hues. And we can almost look at music in the same way in that we've got these 12 basic notes. We could hit notes in between there too as well, but we just don't typically hear that in the kinds of music that we're all used to listening to. Okay, we're not used to listening to quarter tones. Say like in India, they have the quarter tone scale. They're working in quarter tones. We're dealing in semitones or half steps and whole steps. We'll get there in a minute. So really we're looking at 12 notes before they start over again. If we're starting from A, it would be A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then back to A again. That's 12 notes. Now, the way that music is set up, the way that we listen to it, there is always a key. Unless we're listening to atonal music or 12-tone music, we're talking about music which has a key or a tonal center. What I mean by atonal or 12-tone music, well, it's hard to describe what chocolate tastes like. You just need to taste it. So what I would do is after this broadcast, I would open up another tab and I would search 12-tone music or atonal music and give yourself the pleasure of listening to that for about a minute. It's very enharmonic, one might say. It doesn't jive very well because the notes are all over the place. They don't really follow any specific pattern other than maybe what's on paper or just some sort of rhythmic pattern. There's no harmony per se that ties it together like the harmony that I'm going to be talking about. Yes, any notes played together are harmony. This is harmony. But still, the harmony that sounds good is what I'm talking about. So other than atonal 12-tone music, everything else is based upon a key and then is based upon diatonic harmony. And what we mean by diatonic harmony is harmony, which we define, is based upon the major scale. You've heard this before. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Or if we're counting in the number system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, or 8. Okay? And that is diatonic harmony, or that's the major scale which diatonic harmony is based on. Really important that we understand the major scale. In the PDF that I'm giving you for free today for your learning pleasure, which by the way you can find, is it the very first link, Mike? Second link?
First link.
First link. Okay, the very first link below will give you access to that PDF. Is the second link the 30? Just for my,
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay, so the very first link below will give you access to that PDF. You don't have to do anything to get it. You click on it, you go to the page, you download it. No funny business, okay? However, if you want to get inside the free course, we offer that there on that page as well. I say the free course because we offer it for free, 33-something lessons, okay? So check that out. All right, major scale. We need to know the major scale. I talk about it in this PDF. The distance between one fret and the next is a half step. So from G to G sharp is a half step. Boom, boom, it's a half step. 2 halves make a whole, so if I go from G to A, that's a whole step. Okay? Half step is 1 fret, whole step is 2 frets. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay, so now we need to know the pattern for the major scale. And it goes like this. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. You've heard me say this a million times. If you haven't, that means you're new. Whole, whole, half, whole, half. Or WWH, WWWH, okay? It's in the PDF that I'm giving you. So we follow this pattern from any note. We don't even have to know what the name of the note is. We could literally play major scales and all the jazz modes without even knowing the names of the notes on the fretboard if we just know this pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, half, okay? What's up, Larry Dallas? Oh, Sageous one. Okay, so if I start on this note here and I play this pattern, whole, half, whole, half, I will get a major scale based upon this note. This note is the key or the tonic if it were a movie, it would be the plot or it'd be the title of the movie. If it were a song, it'd be the title of the song. It's everything. It's our thesis. If it were a, it's a thesis of a statement. If it were a rapper, it'd be Grandmaster Funk. Okay, it'd be the original, it'd be the OG, it'd be the original note that everything wants to go back to. Okay, kind of like the sun in the center of the universe. If it is the way they say it is, then it's the sun in the center of the universe, and everything revolves around the sun. Okay, so think about that. That's this note right here. Now we're gonna play whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, just like this. Watch, whole. So we play our first note and we say whole as we move. There's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Sounds like this. We can play it many different ways, but that's the major scale. Now, why is this important? It's important because it's literally the backbone of everything that we're going to be talking about today. It is the de facto benchmark thing that you measure everything in music by. When we're talking about a 13th chord, we're talking about a chord that has notes from the major scale in it, and it definitely has the 13 in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And a 13 chord sounds like this. Okay, if it's a 6 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that means that note's in there, so a G6 would be. Okay, so important to know how to assemble that major scale. You don't have to memorize that right now. It's in the PDF I'm giving you guys. You do need to be able to construct it across any string off of any note. It is super easy. Watch, we'll do this off a B flat. We don't even have to know that that's a B flat. It's a this. That's the note. Let's play our major scale for that. Whole step, half, whole, 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 half. Same thing, right? Again, we're going somewhere with this. Stick with me, okay? Now, we know the major scale. Good to know across the strings as well, and I show you that in my courses, okay? So, you got the major scale. This is what we're basing all harmony off of. Now, as I showed you earlier, this sound right here does not sound as nice as, say, this. That sounds nice. This one, not so nice. This one sounds pretty cool. That's a major third. Is that a major third? Yeah, something like that. Yep, sure. Yep, major third. And so, sorry, it took me a second. So when generally speaking, when we're talking about harmony, harmonies sound best when we skip a scale degree. I'll say it again. Harmony is anything, this is harmony, but it sounds best, it sounds more harmonic when we skip notes like this. That sounds nice, okay? So what does that mean? So if we're playing a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, if I play the 1 and the 2, then we get this sound. Okay? Doesn't sound so hot. Even if we're closer, it sounds even worse. So we need to have some separation here. So what happens if we play instead of a second, a second, an interval is the distance between notes. And so the distance between here and here is a half step, here and here is a whole step. It's also known as a second because it's a second scale step in our major scale. 1, 2, that's easy. So if this must be a third. It sure is. 1, 2, 3. Well, that was hard. This must be a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a fourth. This is a fifth. Super easy, right? So if we skip a scale degree, in this case the 2, and we go to play the third, then it sounds like this. Well, that sounds nice. It sounds an awful lot like the beginning of our G chord. Okay. If we skip the 4 and play the 5, so now we're playing a 1, a 3, and a 5, well then we get our first actual chord. A chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time. That's a G major chord. Okay, good. Mike's saying, Eric, you make my brain grow. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for massive brains, which all y'all are, but we're going to make them bigger. All right? We got to make them giant, swelling with smarts. So we're skipping notes to make it more harmonic sounding. This is why someone might say, oh, a major scale is a 1-3-5. That means the 1 note and the 3 and the 5 notes from the major scale. The 1, the 3, and the 5. You play them together, it creates a chord. Easy enough, right? So now, that creates harmony, and we have our first chord. Now, because we have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, if we were to do this from each note, let's say 1, 3, 5, or 2, 4, 6, or 3, 5, 7, or 4, 6, 8, and so on and so forth, because we have the varying whole steps and half steps, the chords start changing their flavor, major, minor, and diminished. Those are the 3 naturally occurring chords in diatonic harmony. Naturally occurring, meaning they occur directly from the major scale, as I'm going to show you in just a moment. So we have major, minor, and diminished. Okay. We won't go into all the details of that today because it's going to be too long, and I'm already being long-winded enough here. But this next part is the part that's really cool. But I've got to lead you there because we got to understand this other stuff. Now, if we build the 1 and the 3 and the 5, we get a major scale or major chord. If we take the 2, skip over the 3, play the 4, skip over the 5, play the 6, then we have this chord. And that is a minor chord. You don't know what you might not know what the difference between a major and a minor chord is. We're not going to get into it right now. We'll do that on another day because you just don't need the information right now. Okay, for the most part, this is a major chord. This is minor. Now if we play 3, 5, 7, so here's 1, 2, 3, so there's our 3. We're going to skip over the 4, play the 5, skip over the 6, and play the 7. Then we have 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, right? And that's also a minor chord. So we have a major chord, we have a minor chord, we have a minor chord. And if we keep doing this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if we start on each one of these notes, skip a note and play that next note, skip a note and play that next note, then we get these chords. We get a major, 1. We get a minor, 2. A minor, 3. You'll want to write these down, by the way. Actually, they're in your PDF. Don't write it down. I got it for you. A major, 4. A major, 5. A minor, 6. And a diminished, 7. And then back to our major 1. And you can hear how that resonates with your ear, right? Now you might say, well, yeah, that sounds great because you're feeding us the answers. Am I? You tell me which chord is wrong here. Ready? That was it, by the way. It should be major. So what happens is this whole major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished pattern is replete in your ears all the livelong day. Whether you're watching some goofy commercial or you're listening to a children's lullaby or you're listening to, your favorite band play their favorite song, it's all based around this harmony. So it's not to say that we can't go outside of this. We've got atonal music, which is, pretty much play whatever you want. And then we've got this diatonic harmony, which is 99.9% of the music that you're listening to. And then we can play around with this, structure over here a little bit and change little things. But until you learn the right way or the natural way of doing things, I would not invest in trying to change things that you don't know how to do it originally. Does that make sense? Mozart or Bach said, learn all the rules and forget about them. I think Mozart said that too. One of those guys who very smart, obviously, with music. So this is how we find harmony. So when you're playing your favorite chord progression and you find that the G and the C and the D are all major, well, that fits perfectly into what we're talking about, because the 1 and the 4 and the 5 are major, and the 2 and the 3 and the 6 are minor, and the 7's diminished. Check out the PDF. Let's do this right now. I want to go to that PDF with you guys right now. Okay, Mike, we don't need to have this on the screen, obviously. But okay, so what PDF are you talking about? The PDF I'm giving you guys, which is in the very first link below. Click on that. I'm going to give you guys a minute to do this with me. For those folks that have done it already, go ahead and hit like on this video while we're waiting for the other folks to get that PDF open already. All right, hit like on this video, because that's going to let other folks know what we're doing here and that we're having a blast and learning about guitar. Cool? Yeah. All right, so you're clicking on that link, you're opening it up, you're hitting the thing that says open the PDF, and you're doing it, and you don't have to enter anything because we're just giving it to you. If you want to join the free course, which, dear Lord, by now you should have done it, unless you're brand new, then you should go do it right now. Or go to YourGuitarSage.com/30. Or if you're watching on mobile and you can't do any of that right now because your hands are full, then text me. Text 833-744-0154. Text free to that, and I'll set you up with a course, okay? Otherwise, we're moving on. Okay, now, when you've got that PDF open right now, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you're going to see a very colorful page that has all different keys, okay? Notice the very far left green chord. The very far left green chord. This is your tonic. It's your key. It's what key you're in. So if you see a G, you can scroll down to G. If you see the G on the far left that's in green, that means you're in the key of G. And if you go over to the left or go over to the right, you're going to see two red boxes. Those are the 2 and the 3 minor chords. And then you're going to see two green boxes. That's the 4 and the 5. And you're going to see a minor 6. Next one's red, and the next one's purple. I denote it as being diminished. So again, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. That's how it works. Most of the time, you can change it up, but then you're changing the natural fabric of diatonic harmony, okay? But you can change it, sure you can. You can paint a sun any color you want. You can paint it white, red, blue, plaid, doesn't matter. If it's up in the sky and the kids are flying the kite underneath it and it's got the rays coming down, we'll get an idea that it's the sun, but you're just taking some artistic liberty, right? And we can do this with music. Okay, now, with that being said, this is where our chords come from. So we got, G major and a C and a D. That's the 1, the 4, and the 5. And you can see right there on your chord progression cheat sheet that it allows for that, right? It's a 1 and a 4 and a 5, the 3 green chords. If we're in the key of D, you'll see a D, a G, and an A. And that's the 1, 4, 5. If we wanted to throw the minor in there, it would be the B minor. How do I have all that memorized? Because I'm just using the math to get me there. I'm not memorizing it per se. Also, I've played in these keys so many times that some of it's memory, but honestly, I could just do that by quickly using the math to figure out these chords, right? So that's why all these songs that you listen to seem to have the same chords, is because this is the natural fabric that you didn't know that you were hearing all the time, and it's literally what makes up harmony, okay? Knowing that now allows us to write songs, allows us to, if we're listening to a song, once we know the key, then we can say, well, it's probably going to be, these chords are probably going to be present in order of importance, how often you'll see them: the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the minor 6 chord are the chords that you're going to see the most in that order. 4 and 5 are interchangeable. You're going to see them appear the same amount of times. But the 1 chord, you got to have the 1 chord. It's everything, right? It's the tonal center. You got to have the 1 chord. 4 and 5, you're almost always going to hear in every song, almost always. And then the next would be the 6 minor, okay? All right, friends, let's get into some questions here. Hopefully that helped you. Did it? Let me know by giving me a thumbs up, all right? For folks that aren't in the free 30, you got to get in there, because it's going to build this foundation. If any of this went over your head, you're not in the Unstoppable Guitar System, and I provide standard for you for free. Over 500,000 people have gone through this thing already. I believe it's the second link below, or you can go to YourGuitarSage.com/30. Take advantage of it, friends. I literally created the course for you to understand music. There's nothing in it for me. I did the work. I made it available for you. You don't pay me anything for it. I give it to you. Okay, cool? Get it? Got it? Good. All right, a couple things really quickly. We're going to do the fail of the week here, which you guys love, and then I'm going to answer your questions. But before we do fail of the week, Mike's getting that queued up. Before we do that, we've got lots of things for you. Lots and lots of things for you, okay? Number one, we've got, just off the top of my head, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count them, 5 new courses that have already been cut, that have already been filmed, the whole 9 yards. Some of them are dropping next month. One's dropping in a few weeks, and then we got some that are in the pipeline. And then we have other ones coming out. We've got one on songwriting. We have one on studio guitar / well, actually, it's probably going to be worship guitar. The very first one is. Those are coming out further down the line. What's happening this week, well, this month, at the end of March, our good friend Jeff Duke, who you've seen him, he has a best-selling course on Udemy that we produced here. Best-selling rock course where he teaches rock rhythm. It's fantastic. It's flying off the shelves. He has a speed picking course. You've got to check this out. That's going to drop at the end of this month. We're going to, of course, give you guys a mega discount on this. If you want to know more about that when that happens, how can they find out more about that? Well, I'll tell you what. If you're in our email list, you will be notified of that. If you buy our Udemy courses, which are kind of these other satellite courses that we do with these other teachers, then you will be privy to that as well. He's doing a speed picking course. We're going to do probably like 82% off, 80-something% off. We always do this to provide you guys great value. Next month, January, February, March, April, we have Chip Henderson, who is a jazz freak. Okay, if you want to know jazz, learn it from Chip Henderson. This guy is the guy who they call to transcribe all the Charlie Christian stuff, okay? He is the guy, literally, in the world that you would go to learn all the Charlie Christian stuff, the Charlie Christian books. He's doing all that stuff by ear, and he teaches this. He's a professor here in Nashville at Trevecca University. I believe it's Trevecca, and he's an amazing player. Check that out. If you want jazz, that's next week. That's next month. Also, our very first Joe Robinson course is dropping next month. Arguably the best finger picker in the world, definitely top 5, is Joe Robinson. He's a young guy. He's a beast. And he created 3 courses with us here. The very first one's going to be dropping next month. It's our beginner finger picking course. It's from soup to nuts. So if you want to learn from him, if you're only interested in finger picking and that's all you ever want to do, great course. If you want to learn finger picking on the side, great course, okay? Beginner one's going to be dropping next month. Okay, all that to say, let's keep going. Get your questions ready. Here we go. Let's do this fail of the week, guys. We love to do these just because it's fun and it adds a little excitement to what we do here. You guys got to be playing out. Play out. Music's meant to be shared. It's an expression of your soul. It's meant to be shared, even if you're scared. Look, I've been terrified on stage before. Most people who get on stage do. There are anomalies that don't get frightened. You should be performing. Old folks home, come on. Senior citizens, orphanages, you could be doing something, playing for something. Open mic night, get out there. You were asking for a sign. This is the sign. Get out there, okay? In the meanwhile, you're not going to fail in your live show as badly as this next fail here. Let's check this out.
Wake within me, you're in my heart forever. Wake within me, you're in my heart forever.
and so on and so forth. So I've had train wrecks on stage. I don't know of anybody who's played live who hasn't. At least mistakes. There's stuff that happens, right? But there's train wrecks that happen every now and then like that. So there you go. All right, friends, I'm looking in the chat now. And so all caps, question mark, that will help me to be able to get your question right away as opposed to seeing the chat amongst yourselves, which I love to see as well. But, you know, here we go. All right, what do you think of that Nick Gur who performed at the Grammys this year? I don't watch any of those shows anymore, so I don't know. I don't know who Nick Gur is. I'm sorry. And the Grammys, anything to do with Hollywood or any of that stuff, I just don't watch it anymore. Number one, with the, you know, the daggone political stuff, I just can't. I'm done. I'm out. So I have no idea. That was that song that you just heard. Yeah, that was like a worship band. It happens. But Donnie, let me know what you're talking about that Nick Gur performance. Was it good? I don't know anything about it. If it's good, like if it was like some guitar aficionado or something, let me know. I'll check it out. Yeah, 100%. This theory, what you're talking about there, Frank, yes, indeed. It's all very helpful. Theory helps because it's understanding. Again, it would be like when people talk about not wanting to have theory that it's going to mess up their creativity. It's someone who obviously just doesn't know what they don't know. Okay, I've had many students who've done this. A ton of professionals who do this all the time. They just think that they don't know theory. They do know theory. They just know it in shapes and forms and stuff like that. But it's all theory, you know? It really is. All right. Looking for those questions. I'm going up here. And I'll come back down to see if there's any others. Okay, sorry, can you clarify what the minus on the chart means? Yeah, it means minor. So when we see you know, A with a minus symbol, that means minor. So the chord is minor. Okay, Janice can't find the PDF. It's the very first link below, Janice. Very first link below this video. You might have to open it up. You know, there's like a little drop down button for you to open up. That's YouTube does that. All right, you're so welcome, Gene. Yeah. All right, looking. Eric, do you ever do more intermediate advanced lessons live? Camus, it depends what you're talking about. You know, to me, I break everything down to be real simple. So someone might say that this is intermediate or advanced. There's a ton of advanced guitar players that have no idea what this stuff is. Seriously. There are guitar players who are touring right now who don't have these concepts. So it's all over the board. Try not to search for something that's not there, okay? What I mean by that is this. This right here, if you understand it correctly, it's foundational, but if you understand it correctly, it teaches you all the jazz modes, right? In every single key, if you understand how to work it. And I teach that in other videos. But just understand that when we're talking about foundational things, arithmetic, right? Adding and subtracting, multiplication, division, you can do so much with that if you know, before you get into, I mean, quadratic equations is all that. It's all addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's all it is, right? So it's not, we're still talking about using the basics, but we're using many basics all at once, and then that makes it seem very, very difficult, you know? But you'll have to let me know specifically what you're talking about there, okay? All right, I'm going to spin all the way down to the bottom now. Oh, another donation. Dan, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for the donation. Beautiful. Okay. Said I was doing the math. What does that mean? That means I'm doing the math in my head, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like if someone said hum a fifth, and I was on a G, I would go so it's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm doing the math in my head. That's what I mean. Okay. Okay. Then shapes and forms, is there a way of working chord theory quickly up the neck? Yeah, Linda, see my videos on the caged system, C-A-G-E-D. If you're in UGS, I have a whole course on that. Otherwise, if you're just on YouTube, and I've got stuff for that as well. It's obviously not going to be as good as the stuff in the course, but it's good. Search YourGuitarSage Caged on YouTube and you'll find it, okay? Could you talk more about why some songs change keys in the middle of the songs? Drew, sure. So people change keys in songs for many reasons. Sometimes because it puts the vocal in a different range to where it sounds better in that range. But if you're talking about like from a creative standpoint, like we're playing in a key I won't even do it, but He Stopped Loving Her Today, right? That changes keys after the first verse. It goes up a half step. He puts the capo on, and now he's a half step up. That's just done for creative purposes because it brings you to a new place where you're like, ooh, you listen more, okay? It catches your ear. Some people will change keys in the chorus and then change it back to the original key in the verse, that sort of thing. All that's just for being creative, okay? There's not like a reason like, oh, we had to put this in a different key because... or we had to change keys for the chorus because, no, it's creatively is why we're doing that, okay? All right, good. How do you harmonize over a chord? If you're playing a C and you play a C, can you play another chord to harmonize like an A minor? Brunette. So typically, okay, a chord represents 3 or more notes. So if those 3 notes are playing, if you want to harmonize or play the color notes of that chord, you play the color notes of that chord. One Deep Mofo coming in fast and hard with a $50 donation. Woo! One Deep. You need some confetti, my friend. Thank you so much. We really, truly...
Confetti, it's going to be
Woo!
underwhelming.
It's underwhelming?
Yes.
I love it. One Deep Mofo, thank you so much. That's super, super, super kind. Now we can get burritos. And maybe I'll break my fast today because I do love burritos. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I think I'll do it tomorrow. Thank you, One Deep Mofo. So kind. Okay, so how do you harmonize over a chord? You play the notes of that chord. Yes, you could play an A minor over it, but there's one note in there that doesn't match, right? Otherwise, it'd be a C chord. If all the notes matched, then it wouldn't be an A minor chord, it'd be a C chord. But there's one note that's different about the A minor chord than the C chord, so that one note may not sound too good on it. Usually we don't play a different chord over another chord. It can be done, but it's kind of like wearing colors that don't quite match, okay? It's just that. It's gonna cause some probs. It's not going to sound like you think it should sound. So if you want to play the right notes to harmonize over it, you would play the notes in the chord. This is done when we're soloing all the time. The notes that sound best, that you're like, oh, that sounds so good, bet you $1,000 every single time it's going to be the note that's in the chord that you're on. That's the way it works. Does a flanger sound better on an amp or an effect pedal? A flanger is an effect pedal. So you run it through an amp. Okay, great questions. I'm struggling with a thumb over technique that Jimmy did a lot. Any tips? Logan, yeah, a couple tips. Number 1, practice, of course, always. It's always about practice. But, if I'm going to play, I'd say like a G, chord like the way Hendrix did it, like this. Then I got my thumb over the top of the neck here, and I'm forming this chord, right? The top 4 strings, this 5th string's muted, and I got my thumb playing that low E string. What I do typically is I will grab that note first and then form the chord. You can do it either way though. You can form the chord and then put your thumb up there. This crease in your thumb, I always take advantage of that. You got a little bit of extra flesh coming over the top of that knuckle there, and I just kind of use that crease and put the string there, and then this way, that little bit of fat on my thumb kind of pulls that string in a little bit. So that's how you want to practice it. But at the end of the day, it's all about practice, because you may not need to do any of that stuff. Your hand may be slightly different. You're able to do it. You just got to develop that technique. That's a great question. Pink Floyd uses 6 over the 1 in a lot of their songs. Right, the 6 bass note. Is that what you're talking about? Pink Note uses the 6 over the 1 in a lot of their songs. Yeah, they do. They go from major to minor. They go to relative, major, and minor. On the second part of the PDF that I've provided for you by hitting that very first link below this video, the second part of that PDF shows you songs in a minor key. I tell folks, learn everything in the major key. Don't learn it in the minor key. Just learn everything in the major key, and just understand that every major key has a polar minor key. It's called the parallel minor. Every minor key has a polar major key called the parallel major. Just remember that if you're in the key of G, you just go back 3 half steps. If you're in the key of C, you go back 3 half steps. If you're in the key of F, you go back 3 half steps to find the related minor tonal center. It's also known as the 6, okay? So you'll note that the top matrix and the bottom matrix there will match if you just take the 6s from the top column and you put them at the bottom, and it just matches up. It's the same thing, okay? So I just learn it one way instead of learning it 2 ways, because that's more trouble, and why would I do that? Why am I trying to make things harder, okay? Samantha, thank you so much. So glad that you like the analogies, okay? Do I play tapped harmonics like Eddie Van Halen? Yeah, I do in videos or songs that need it. Yeah, and I'll show you that in a minute. Steven, thank you so much. $20 donation. Boy, you guys are super generous today. That is really, really kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We could get burritos all day long now. So kind, okay? Or moving violations. Poor Mike. All right. Tapped harmonics, probably not going to sound the best on this guitar, but let's try this. So what we mean by that is, this sort of idea of going like... It's a little overdriven. But this is not the guitar to do it, but this kind of vibe. You could also pick like this, as I'm doing with the right hand. I have a video on this on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage Harmonics, and I specifically talk about the 5th, 7th, and 12th. There are harmonics all over the fretboard, right? So if you do this, you can hear them. I'm not fretting anything. I'm just dragging my finger across the fretboard. So you can hear that there's harmonics all over the place, but the 5th, 7th, and 12th are the ones that ring out the loudest. When you play harmonics, you'll do it directly over the fret, over the fret wire, not the place in between the frets, but directly over the fret wire. If you're not directly over it, it's not going to sound good. You have to be directly over it. And then you pluck, move your finger away. Easy enough, okay? And it creates that nice chimey sound. Conversely, you could also play 5, 7, or 12 frets above whatever you're fretting. So if I'm here, I could pick out the chord up here. This is 12 frets above everything I'm doing here. This is 12, 14, 14, 13, and 12, which is just 12 frets above my formation here. I could do this with a C chord, anything. Easy enough, okay? Yeah. New to theory. How does this apply to the circle of fifths, to the circle of fourths, and the fifths? Marlon, I have videos on the circle of fifths. You can search that by going YourGuitarSage circle, and you'll find exactly what I'm talking about. But how does this apply? Well, when we're talking about the circle of fifths, we're talking about moving around a circle like a clock, like we would a clock, and we're moving in fifths, Okay, so if I'm playing a C, my next note would be, or I'm sorry, if I'm playing a G, my next note would be a D. My next note would be an A. And my next note would be an E. And so on and so forth. So we're using the concept of fourths and fifths because they are the fourth and fifth scale steps of the major scale. This is what I said, right? I said that it's the benchmark. The major scale is the benchmark for everything we do theory-wise. So, yeah, it absolutely relates. Okay, this is not a maestro. This is a Bigsby, but no, you cannot dive bomb with this. It doesn't have much of a range, just enough to kind of get my fun kind of type of tones. You know, show us your hand finger stretching exercises. Cheryl, that would be exercise number 3. So inside the free course that I give you guys, YourGuitarSage.com/30, probably the second link below. I like this one for stretching, where I lay my, this is exercise number 3 for those that are in UGS. But laying your fingers like a set of stairs on strings 4, 3, 2, 1, like this, and then move one finger down with it separated by a fret. Then move the next finger down, separated by a fret. Then move the next finger down, separated by a fret. And then back to the original position. And we're working our way down the fretboard, down in pitch. And so because of that, it's stretching each time. We're getting a little bit more stretched out. Right, we could be using a pick also. We could be sweeping across here, doing that. Yeah. Okay. Brad is saying, I mostly play acoustic. If I want to start playing the electric, what would you recommend I do first? I know chords and some songs, and I've been playing a couple years. Brad, playing the electric guitar is like getting in a different car. It's got a steering wheel, right? It's got the wheels on the ground. It's got a door you get in. It's got a trunk, gas, the whole 9 yards. But it's going to drive a little differently. So don't think about the electric as being like some entirely different instrument or different, entity. It's like, it's the same thing. Yes, it's going to respond differently. I always compare an acoustic guitar to a 4x4 and a electric guitar to a race car or a sedan, something that is a little bit slicker. And so it takes a little more getting used to it, but the only way you're going to get used to it is by doing it. So go drive that car, go pick up an electric and start playing. That's how to do it, okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. James is saying, Eric, why should I learn triads? What's the difference between chords and triads? So not every chord is a triad, meaning it may have 4 or 5 or 6 notes in it. But every triad is a chord. A chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time. So specifically, when musicians speak of triads, what they mean is like major, minor, diminished, augmented. They're just talking about 3 notes being played, right? And so, why learning triads is great. So typically when we're talking about learning triads, we're talking about learning them, memorizing them, bringing them to memorization. Like this, like I did earlier, right? I said major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then major. Those are triads, and I could do that in any key because it's the same thing every time. As opposed to maybe playing the chords, the full chords, I might have to think about it a little bit differently because each key is going to bring some challenges fingering-wise, right? So good to know your triads. It's also good for stuff like I said, like the. Now those aren't triads, but he's using thirds. So those would be, those could be triads, like. That's a major chord, minor, minor. So if I knew my triads and I heard that lick, I'd be like, oh, they're just playing the top two. Make sense? Yeah, sure does. All right, I had a guitar teacher tell me years ago, look for the half steps to know your modes. Never quite got that principle. Can you elaborate? I'm not sure specifically what that teacher was talking about, look for the half steps to know your modes, but, you know, understanding the whole step, half step, whole, half, and understanding that that's the major scale and that starts at the 1, then if you came across, you know, if you wanted to know the Dorian mode, then you would just need to know the patterns for that. So that's probably what they're talking about. It's all part and parcel. You really can't separate the one without it's not like that teacher's saying something that I'd be like, oh God, I've never considered that. No, I mean, it's just whole steps and half steps. But the way that they're phrasing that it's causing some confusion. All right, good stuff. All right. Okay, and got James. Okay, got you there, bud. Yep. Okay. All right. Good. We're doing great here. Let's take one more. Is there a time frame you would recommend on doing guitar exercises? Drew, it really depends on how long. There's so many variables that determine that, okay? So not a cop-out at all. It just depends. You know, my thought is this. Exercises are a means to an end. I like using exercises if I'm on the phone or if I'm doing something where I just need to do something mindless because I'm focusing on something else. Otherwise, any other time, I'm not playing an exercise because to me, I want to focus on the thing that I want to get down. It's usually a lick, a solo, a chord, something like that. It's usually something musical. So why practice an exercise to do something that I could just practice that thing, right? I mentioned this in the last broadcast. If you want to practice catching a football, don't practice catching a frisbee. Even though it will help with your catching skills and your eye-hand coordination, the football's shaped differently. It's going to sail through the air differently and all the rest. So we might as well practice with the football instead of the frisbee. It will save you time. It's a more direct way of getting there, okay? So practice songs, practice songs, practice songs. Practice an exercise of it specifically is going to bring you to a place that you're looking to go, you know? Eric, a major chord is 1-3-5 and a minor chord is 1-flat-3-5. What about a sus chord, please? Graham, a sus chord is a 1-4-5. A 1-4-5, where the 4 is taking place at the 3. So like a D major chord, D suspended, then this is the third. This is the 4 in lieu of the 3. Make sense? Okay, good. I'm seeing you there, Dominic. Your guitar's going out of tune when you're dive bombing. I am seeing that, friend. All right, what would you like to do first? What would you like to do first when writing songs, melody or writing lyrics? Typically, what I do is I come up with a chord progression. Typically, I've done it many different ways, but typically I come up with a chord progression that puts me in a certain vibe, and then I start feeling the song, okay, this is kind of sad, or this is kind of happy, or whatever, and then I start writing my lyrics around the way that I'm feeling because of that chord progression, and typically, or usually I write the melody first, and then I write the chords after that. So usually for me, it's chords, melody, lyrics. In Nashville, they might do something different. Usually the lyrics are king, so they want to really make sure that that those lyrics are right. They'll work around melodies and chord progressions to make that right. Okay. All right. Good. Oh, Kevin, thank you for buying 3 coffees, and KO for buying us 5 coffees. Nice. So kind. Just waiting for my stimulus check, coffee and burritos. Woo! Thank you, Cheryl. So sweet. All right, my friends, I'm out of here. We've got a call with another course that we're going to be doing here, vocal course. So we're going to let you know more about that here. Well, as soon as we create it. All right, we'll let you guys know about that. Great day today. You guys had some amazing questions. Don't forget to download that PDF, the very first link below. If you have any questions, you know where you can find me, inside the Unstoppable Guitar System or Udemy courses or wherever. We're all over the place, okay? Someone's asking, are my Udemy courses on UGS? No. Udemy courses are Udemy courses, and they're specific for our artists that we have in here. That's what we do, okay? All right, friends, I'm out of here. I will see you soon.